So taking a look at this question, all right, the first part is it asks you for the vertex. The vertex, remember, is where the parabola turns. So it is this point right here. That is your vertex. That is over to 0.5, down to negative 2.25. So over to 0.5, so 0.5, comma, negative 2.25. Those get roundy parentheses because that is a coordinate. Is this a max or a min? This is a min because it is the bottom part of the graph. The max is the top part. Remember that domain means x and range means y. So the domain of the graph, the x values of the graph, it goes on forever in both directions, left and right. So therefore, it would be negative infinity to positive infinity because it goes on forever in both directions. Remember that anytime that you use infinity or negative infinity, it's always roundy parentheses. The range of the graph. The range of the graph, it starts the bottom, all right, starts at negative 2.25. So it goes from negative 2.25 and it goes all the way up and keeps on going. So it goes all the way up to infinity. Squarey parentheses at the negative 2.25. The y-intercept, that's where the line crosses the y-axis. It crosses it right here at the coordinate 0, comma, negative 2 inside roundy parentheses. The zeros of the graph are the x-intercepts. So those are these 2 points. So that is negative 1, 0, and that is 2, 0. The interval of increase and decrease. So we're going to do decrease first, all right? Our decrease is where the graph is going down as you go from left to right. So as we go from left to right, this green part is the interval of decrease. So that starts off at negative infinity because it keeps on going over and over and over to the left. And it ends up at, this is where 0.5 is. All right, this is where 0.5. So it goes all the way over to 0.5. Remember, anytime you do increase or decrease, it's always roundy parentheses. For increase, what we're looking at is where the graph is going up. So that's here in the yellow. It starts off at 0.5 for your x value and goes on forever in that direction. So that is off to infinity. Questions about this one? Remember that you could also find the zeros by graphing it, all right? If we graphed it, all right, that's what my graph looks like, all right? I did a zoom fit, and that's what my graph looks like. Let's see what happens if I do zoom that. Let's see what happens if I do zoom fit again. So let's graph it. Let's do zoom and fit. That's better. So there's my zoom fit of my graph. Remember, I can do second and calc, and then go down to, you could find your max that way. You could find your min that way. You can find your zero that way. Remember, you can find the zeros by hitting that. It asks you for a number on the left-hand side. So if I'm looking at this first one, I need to go all the way over to the left-hand side. Remember, my zero is where it crosses the x-axis. Where it crosses the y-axis. Where it crosses the x-axis. That's right. And then my other point, my right bound has to be on the other side of it. And then I'm going to hit equals or enter. And then it says that it's at negative 1, 0, which is what we got here. If I wanted my other one, I'd have to do second and calc and go back down to 0. I have to do one on the left-hand side. So that one is fine. And then do one on the right-hand side. So I got to scroll over to the right-hand side of that part and hit enter again once it stops moving. And then enter again, and it's 2, 0, which is what we got here. So you can find your vertex, your min or your max, and your zeros right from the calculator. Go ahead and try this one, please. Go ahead and try this one, please. Now, this one does have some decimals in it, so you'll definitely need to type this into the calculator. All right, so the first thing that you should do on this one is type this into your calculator. So someone just asked me a question. What happens if you get something that says like, and somebody asked me this yesterday in the homework as well. If you get something that says like 1e negative 12, or I think the person that messaged me yesterday said 1e6 or something like that, negative 6, that just means 0. All right. The calculator is trying to put this number in scientific notation. This is really negative 1 times 10 to the negative 12th. So this is really like decimal 0.0000000000001. All right. So that's really close to 0. So anytime you see that E pop up with a negative exponent after it, like negative 12, that just means 0. Going to give you about 30 more seconds. So looking at this graph, you need to find the vertex. Now the vertex is the turning point of the graph. So that's right there. If you look really, really closely, that does dip below the x-axis. This is a min. So I'm actually going to use my calculator to find that vertex because the vertex is the min. So second calc, I'm going to go down to number 3, which is the minimum. They ask you for a left bound. I need to move my little blinky cursor all the way over to the left-hand side of where the min is. So I need to keep on going, keep on going, keep on going. I need to get to the left-hand side of that bottom of the dip there. So now it's on the left-hand side. Now I need to put it on the right-hand side of it because it looks in the middle of those two lines. So now it is over to the right. It's looking in the middle here. That's where my min is. I'm just going to hit enter one more time. Notice that the minimum, and this is where that rounding sort of comes into play a little bit. It really is negative 5.5, all right, comma, negative 0.25. And this is where on your homework, you might have got a little frustrated yesterday because you get answers that look like that and you don't know what to put, all right? That's really close enough because of all the repeating nines. That's really close enough to negative 5.5. For your domain are your x values. So going from x to x, how are we going? Well, it goes on forever in both directions. So it is negative infinity to positive infinity. For the range, the bottom part of our graph, the lowest point of our graph is negative 0.25. And then it just goes up. It keeps on going up, 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 up. So that is to infinity. Our y-intercept, where does it cross the y-axis? It crosses it right here. All right, that point is over 0 up to 30. What are these zeros of the graph? The zeros of the graph are where it crosses the x-axis. It crosses it right here and here. Remember, zeros are also called x-intercepts. It's where the line crosses the x-axis. So our zeros are actually -6, 0 and -5, 0. That's the points where they cross. The interval of increase and decrease. It is decreasing, going down, 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 all the way to there. So it is going negative infinity all the way to our x value of -5.5. And from the increase, it's starting off at the -5.5. Remember, increase and decrease always have roundy parentheses. And it keeps on going up, 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 so that it goes to infinity. Questions on this one? All right, take a look at this question, please. Remember that you have the Regents exam coming up in about 3 months. This is from the 2019 Regents exam. All right, go ahead and try this question, please. This was a multiple choice question from the Regents exam. By the way, yes, you get to use a calculator, a graphing calculator on the whole entire Regents exam. So which of these points can determine the zeros of the equation? They want to know which of these points, A, B, or C. So A is -2, 0. This is where my axis is. This is my y-axis and my x-axis. -2, 0. A is right here. B is 0, -4. 0, -4 is right here. And C is 4, 0, which is right here. So they want to know which of those 2 points are zeros. All right, remember that your zeros are your x-intercepts. So that crosses the x-axis right there. That crosses the x-axis right there. B is really the y-intercept. All right, that's really what that point is. This is the y-intercept. But A and C are zeros. So it is choice 3. Questions on that one? All right, so let's take a look at what your quiz looks like tomorrow. All right, your quiz looks exactly like these questions tomorrow, exactly like these questions. Go ahead and just try letter A first. All right, go ahead and just try letter A. You need to simplify the functions into standard quadratic form. So remember, when it goes into quadratic form, it has to go in order of exponents. For example, if you had an answer like this, 4x squared minus, I don't know, 8x plus 2. You go from x, the highest exponent, which is a 2, to the next exponent, which is a 1 technically, to no exponent. It has to go in that order. All right, the first thing that you would have to do here, though, is distribute and distribute. Then combine your like terms. Go ahead and do 1A. So distribute, 3x times negative 2x is negative 6x squared. 3x times 4 is 12x. Bring down your minus 5x. Bring down your plus 1. We didn't use those when we did the distributive property. Now you have to combine your like terms. We can add together the 12x and the negative 5x. So we have negative 6x squared. 12 plus negative 5 is 7, so plus 7x, and then just bring down your plus 1. You have to have it in this order, all right? That is in quadratic form. The exponents have to go in order. Take a look at 1b. In 1b, there are two different ways to do this problem. You could move all of these terms by adding and subtracting over to this side, or you can move all these terms over to this side by adding and subtracting. All right, so go ahead and do letter B, please. So in letter B, I'm going to do this both of the ways. The first time, I'm going to move all of my things over to the right-hand side. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of my 2x squared by doing minus 2x squared and minus 2x squared. I'm also going to do minus 3x and minus 3x. And then I'm going to do plus 7 and plus 7. Remember, you always want to do that opposite operation. So if it's a positive number or a plus, you want to do minus. If it's minus or negative, you want to do plus, all right? Because you want to do the opposite. 5x squared minus 2x squared is 3x squared. 2x minus 3x is negative 1x. 1 plus 7 is 8. So you always set that equal to 0. Everything canceled out on that side. So it would be 0 equals all of that. Now, if you went the other way, all right, if you went the other way, this is what you would get: minus 5x squared to both sides. And then you would do minus 2x to both sides. We're getting rid of everything from the right-hand side, and a minus 1. So now on this side, you have a 0. 2 minus 5 is negative 3x squared. 3 minus 2 is 1x. And negative 7 minus 1 is negative 8, or minus 8. So either of those two answers are fine. You can do it either way on your quiz. It doesn't matter. I programmed in both of the answers as being correct. Questions in either of these. So you'll have one like that on your quiz tomorrow. All right, here's the biggie. All right, here's the biggie. Go ahead and try this one, please. All right, you're going to want to type in the equation into your y equals, just like I did, over to the side. Negative 16x squared plus 40x. It says t in the equation, but you need to type in an x. All right, go ahead. Don't worry so much. I know on your own it's hard to do the graphing. I think you can do the graphing on your own by hitting second and table. All right, just answer the questions B through G, please. Gonna give you about 30 more seconds or so. So when we take a look at these, all right, when we take a look at these, the first thing that you're going to have to do tomorrow is sketch the graph. Unfortunately, my graphing calculator on the screen froze, and I don't know what to do there without closing everything out. So unfortunately, I can't show you on the calculator. But what you have to hit second and table. All right, once you type in the equation, you need to hit second and table to find the points. So over to -2, down to -144. That's off the graph, so I'm not going to worry about that point. Over to -1, down to -56 approximately. And then we have 0, 0 as a point. We have 1 and 24 as a point. We have 2 and 16 as a point. So that would be right about there. We have 3 and -24. And then we have 4 and -96. So my graph is going to look like this. All right, my graph is going to look like this. Always make sure that you have arrows on the ends of your lines and you connect the dots. I messaged a bunch of people today on your graphs from the other day that you did not connect the dots or you did not put arrows on the ends. You do have to do that. Also, you really should, anytime that you do a graph, you really should label your graph. All right. Sometimes on the Regents exam, they specifically say label your graph, but it's a good habit to do it no matter what. All right. So there's our graph. Letter B says find the maximum. Now you can do second and calc, and to find the max. The max is the highest point. All right. When you go to do that on your calculator, you should have gotten 1.25, comma 25. And that goes in rounding parentheses because that's a coordinate. For zeros, you can find the zeros on the calculator as well, second and calc, and then go down to 0. You'll have to pick one on the left-hand side, one to the right-hand side of that point specifically, then hit equals or enter a third time. So one of ours is right here, the zeros. One of ours is right here. All right, those are the zeros of the graph. So one of those is at the coordinate 0, 0, and the other one is at the coordinate 2.5, comma 0. For letter D, letter D says write the domain of the situation in interval notation. Now, of the situation, all right, here's what of the situation means. When it says of the situation, we're looking at the word problem. We're not just looking at a graph, all right? The difference between a situation and not a situation is the situation you have to deal with the model with the model rockets. All right. If it didn't say of the situation, it just said write the domain, you're just looking at the graph. All right. You're just looking at the normal graph without a situation being involved. So domain means X, range means Y. The domain of the situation. Well, remember, a model rocket is being launched from the ground. So our model rocket, I'm going to do this in purple. Our model rocket is starting right here at 0, 0. All right. It is being launched from the ground. All right. And it travels like that as a flight path and ends up there. This x-axis is the ground. That's planet Earth. So it's not going to start from below the ground. It's going to start right on the ground at 0. It's going to go up and then it's going to go down and land back on 0. So the x values, all right, the x values, which is our domain, it starts at 0. All right, it starts at 0. So that would be squarey parentheses at 0. And it ends right here. All right, it ends right there. It goes over until it reaches 2.5 and the x axis for the range of the situation. Now, the range of the situation is your y. That's going up and down. All right, that's going up and down. So the lowest that it goes, all right, the lowest that it goes is the ground. The highest that it goes is your max. All right, the highest that it goes in your max. You want to know this distance in between from the ground up to the max. Again, if we were talking about not of the situation, but of the whole graph, then we would be using infinities, but we're not. All right, we want the problem situation. So we want from the ground to the max. So we're going from 0 to 25 because that is the highest that it goes. It is that number right there. Letter F says identify the interval of increase. The interval of increase of the graph. Notice that it says of the graph. It doesn't say of the situation. This time it says of the graph. So increasing. As we go from left to right, it's going higher, 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 higher until it reaches the max. So it is going from negative infinity all the way to 1.25. Where am I getting that 1.25 from? I'm getting that from the max. That's how many we go over to get to the max. When you're looking at increase and decrease, you're going from left to right. You're going from left to right. Remember that it's always roundy parentheses for increase or decrease. For decrease, we are going down, 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 down like that. So we are starting at 1.25 this time, and we are going to negative. Sorry, we're not negative. We're going to positive infinity, right? Because we can keep on going to the right, to the right, to the right, to the right, to the right. All right, where this one went to the left, to the left, to the left. That's why it was negative infinity. This one goes to the right, so it is positive infinity. The last two questions look like this. Go ahead and try 3 and 4, please. And these will be multiple choice on your quiz. So a quick little reminder that you're only going to use the squarey parentheses when it has the words or equal to. All right, you're only going to use squarey parentheses when it says or equal to. So we have two numbers, we have 2 and we have 8. So all of them have 2, 8. A number is greater than or equal to 2. All right, greater than or equal to, because it has the or equal to, it has to be the squarey parentheses. But less than 8. Less than is just roundy parentheses. So that would be choice D. If it had or equal to and or equal to, that would be B. If it just had greater than and less than, it would be A. If it was greater than and then less than or equal to, that's when it would be C. All right. Take a look at number 4, which expresses a number greater than or equal to n. Now, you could get rid of 2 of your choices right away. Because it says or equal to, you know you're not going to have this roundy parenthesis. You know you're not going to have this roundy parenthesis. So you could get rid of choices A and C right away. It says a number that is a number greater than or equal to n. Well, that means we want all the numbers that are bigger than n, Well, all the numbers that are going to be bigger than it, we're going to start off at n, but then we want all the numbers that are bigger than it. So that would be b. That is what your quiz looks like tomorrow. It's a short quiz, but it is a very, very important